Today on Homeworthy, we're taking you to Mays Landing, New Jersey for a look inside interior designer Solveig Tank's beautiful waterfront home. Solveig first laid eyes on the 1900s Captain's Cottage 30 years ago, and while the space desperately needed updates, Solveig knew there was no other place she would rather call home. The gut renovation was a labor of love for Solveig, who rediscovered herself in the process. The interiors now shine brightly with a soft, neutral color palette that highlights the cottage's charming original details. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Solveig, and welcome to our home in Mays Landing, New Jersey. Come on in. Hi, I'm Solveig Tank, and this is our home in Mays Landing, New Jersey, and we're standing on the sun porch. I live here with my husband, Steve. We've been here for almost 9 years now, and with his amazing skills, we have slowly converted this, what my grandson would call a dump back in the day, into our home. And after 9 years, I'm still completely enamored with it. I love the river views that we have. I love the unlevel floors and the plaster walls. I'm just completely enamored with this house, and so happy to be able to share it with you today. This house is a 1900s Captain's Cottage, and what caught my eye many years ago was the porch, this glassed-in front porch, and it has these long eyebrow windows over each of the big bays of the windows, and that's what first caught my eye. But this room, this is my favorite room of all, is this little glassed-in porch. I love to come out here and sit. I sit here and read my Bible and pray, and I love it. It's the views are just amazing, and it's forever changing. It's like every day is a different story out there. You never know what you're going to see. Every day the river is different, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to be. I would say I have two favorite places, but the porch is about my favorite. I'm in the kitchen all the time, but I love this porch. The sofa, years ago, we lived in Mississippi, and my daughter was moving into her first apartment in LSU, and her friend was moving in with her. And her friend kept telling me, she was crying because her mother had bought her a sofa. And she says, "Oh, it's so ugly, I can't stand it, it's this ugly thing." And the more she kept saying it was so ugly, I was getting more and more intrigued. And I'm thinking, oh, this is gonna be something that I probably want. So I told her, I said, "Look, I'll give you a new love seat and $50, because her mom paid $50 for it at a yard sale." So anyway, we brought down the love seat, down to my daughter, down to LSU to the apartment, and when they went out of the room, I went and I flipped up the cushion. Well, underneath it was a baker. So this is a baker sofa that I got for $50. It's been recovered, and it's slip covered now in painter's drop cloths, which is my favorite thing to slip cover, because we had a lot of grandchildren. I have 6 grandchildren, and now I have 2 great-grandchildren. So over the years, I just take it off and watch it, because I love white. I have to have white around me. When we first came here to the porch, it was all painted red. The walls were painted red. It had red indoor-outdoor carpet. It had an ancient old sofa down there that weighed like 350 pounds. And as soon as I came into this house, I'm like, it has to be white. Everything has to be white. Because I have found, we've flipped a lot of houses over the years, and to me, an old house, especially when one has been unloved for a long, long time, there's nothing like a fresh coat of white paint. It just picks it all up and it just brings it all to life. I love the lightness of just the different shades of cream and white. My design style, I would say, is an organic vintage modern, because I love the mix of woods, but I also like touches of chrome and polished nickel. I like that juxtaposition of the hardness of the metals against the softness of the wood and all the white. It's like I need to have that little bit of metals running through. But you know, with having the white walls and the white sofa, it's just, I don't know, this room is just light and airy, and that's probably how I've tried to keep the whole house. I have some color, but I love the whites, and I just think it's very peaceful and very restful, because that's the essence of this whole house. But I have a quick funny story about this porch too. When we first came here, my husband was very excited to see the house, but as we moved through the house, his excitement started to wane, let's say, a little bit. So we come out here under the porch, and my realtor says to me, she goes, Solveig, what do you want to do with this house? Do you want to flip it? Do you want to sell it? And I said, flip it or sell it? I said, I want to live here. So my husband looks at me and he says, you are crazy. And he said, you're trying to kill me. He said, you want to kill me. And then just then, my brother swoops in, grabs my husband by the arm, swings him around. He says, look at that view. He said, this house is amazing. He said, you have to buy it and move here. So that's what sold the house to my husband. But so I always think about that when I'm out here, but he loves it now. He loves to sit out here too. Well, let's take a walk over to the dining area. It's a long way, so follow me. This dining table actually came out of an old house that we had bought in Ventnor, New Jersey. We found it in the garage, and it was completely covered in oil. I think they had maybe repaired engines on it because it had a lot of engine oil on it. But my husband ran the wood through a planer at my father's and planed all the wood, and it came back to life. And we've had it in every house that we've been, and we've just really cherished it. I mean, my family, I have a good sized family, and when they come, I can fit 9 people here. We can squeeze in, and then I can fit some over there. So I know when we bought this house, my kids weren't that thrilled, because they're like, why do you want such a little house coming from a big house? And I said, you know, for when you come to visit, we can all squeeze in here. You know, we can all manage. So we do, and we've had lots of parties here with a lot of people, and we can squeeze. And I'm never short on table space. I have tables everywhere because I love to cook and I love to have little get-togethers. So we have plenty of places to sit and eat. But I love this little table, and it has worked out so pretty here. We really enjoy it. These plates were actually my grandmother's, and when she passed, my aunt gave them to me. And what I love about them is that each one has a little different flower pattern on them, and I think they're so sweet, and I love that little bit of cobalt blue. When I was setting up the tablescape for in here, my little friend next door, Caroline, she brought me some things. She brought the gauze and these little vases, and she did the flowers for me, and she did such a beautiful job because she just captured exactly what I wanted, because I like it. I like just things shoved in a vase. I don't like a formal arrangement of anything, and she did it. I thought it came out so pretty, and it's just, I don't know. I love this porch, and I love being out here. And then this chandelier, my brother and sister-in-law got me this, because I call it my firefly jars. It's not that I'm like crazy over the chandelier, but it's like, it's a memory, because I first saw this house in 1986, and I was a single mom raising 3 children and couldn't afford to buy a home. And to me, and there was fireflies, there were always fireflies here. And to me, it would have been a dream that my kids could have caught fireflies in the jars. So I said, this is my firefly jars. Well, the floors in here, like I said earlier, this was red indoor-outdoor carpet. And that was one of the first things. I'm like, oh my God, we got to get this carpet up and see what's underneath here. So when we ripped up the carpet, we had this beautiful floor. This would have been, you know, the subfloor, because we think at one time this was actually an open porch. It kind of looks, because there's piers outside, so we're thinking maybe this was open. So anyway, I hand sanded, we had a big sander, and I sanded these floors, and it was like a joke, because the floors are like this. So when you're running a sander, the sander wants to kick up like that all the time. And my husband would run out here going, what are you doing? What are you doing? But I did manage. I mean, I think it's okay. I mean, he of course fixed everything that I didn't do too good. And then we put spar varnish on it. And it's been great because these doors are quite old. I mean, these are the original doors here. And we have come to refer to this house as our old yacht. So there are days when if we get a nor'easter blowing off the river, like, well, where's north? But there's days that we'll get a bad nor'easter, and then on those days, we'll get water in. But it comes in on the floor, and it's okay. We mop it up, and we're good because of the finish that's on here. And then also, the ceiling, there was drop ceiling in here, and we took that down. It was this great boarding up here, and we just painted this pale gray. It's Sherwin-Williams knitting needles, which is I love that gray. I think it's so pretty. I have it the same color here on the shutters. And these were original too, which I love these. I think this was one of the big things because I would drive by this house all the time you got to understand, it's many, many years. And you could see these because the walls were painted like this brick red and these were white. So I always saw that. And I love the shutters. And so I painted those that knitting needles color from Sherwin-Williams. But I just love that. Follow me now on into the foyer. This is the entrance foyer to our house. It's went through quite a transformation. There's 9-foot ceilings in here, and then we have this picture frame molding that's all around. Originally, all the moldings and trim were in a green, which is that I don't think this house sat empty for, I don't know, at least 20 years it was empty. But I think the green that was in here was probably one of the original, that. I don't know the color, but they used to use that many, many years ago. So the doors were green, all the trim was green, and the walls were this like dull beige color. There was lots of rugs everywhere. I mean, every square foot was covered with a rug. But then once we got the house and we started, peeling back the layers, we found out why they had so many rugs. Because way back when what they had for rugs when you didn't have money, you used linoleum, sheets of linoleum, and the linoleum was printed to look like an Oriental rug. So what they would do over the years, they would lay the linoleum down and then paint around it. But they never lifted it up to paint the whole floor. So the floors were just a myriad of colors. Purple, green, red. It was like a kaleidoscope. But we ended up having to have an estate sale because the house was packed with furniture. So I ran estate sales for about 3 weeks every weekend to try to get rid of everything. Because it was all like early American, and like I said, a lot of scatter rugs. But the beauty of this foyer, and this really captured me because I just, the house is little. I mean, the house is around 1,600 square feet. And the rooms are small, but we were coming from a bigger house, more like a contemporary, which was not I didn't care for it. But when we first started working in this house, I like the smallness of the rooms. It just felt very comfortable to me. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to knock down any walls. I don't want to open it up. I want to leave it like this, like it was originally. And I love the feel of it. And I love this wide hallway. I love the picture frame molding, and I love the tall baseboards. And it's just, and when I look at it now, I remember, painting this. And it's all a memory for me. Like, it's just, this house is such a treasure to me that every little thing that I did is sealed in my heart. And it's just very, very special to me. I want to show you something, a few things here. This is the original door, which was, of course, painted brick red. Somebody made it. And this was not like, fine craftsmanship. But anyway, we took it, had it stripped, and I love it. I love it just like it is. I put a matte finish clear coat on it because I didn't want any shine. I didn't want to change the color of the wood, but I just love it as it is. So I just think it's beautiful. Now, when we come over here, this is a little cabinet that we found down in the basement. And I took it over and had it dipped and stripped. And then we decided to make like a little cabinet out of it. I put all my purses and everything and hats and gloves in here. And it worked out because there's no storage. We don't have any closets really per se. We have one little closet down here in the office. And but when I got it back, and we had it here, I was like, you know, it was too much wood. So I just painted it white and then left the natural wood here. And I really like that because it has a little bit of that, it looks like a little bit of spalting running through here. And I really like the look of that. But the treasure of everything and the treasure of this house is this ugly little piece of wallboard. And without getting in, there's a lot of history here with me in this house. But on the second day of the demo, my husband, I was outside setting up lunch for us because you couldn't be in here. The dust and the dirt was just crazy. So I was outside setting up lunch, and I see my husband come down in this cloud of dust because all the doors were open, and this cloud of dust coming behind him, and he's carrying this piece of wallboard, and he says to me, well, he goes, I think this is supposed to be your house. He said, this is proof. So he hands it to me, and I read it, and what it says is, built by Captain Will Spink, March 6th, age 50 years old, my birthday has it circled, 1928, and it says, first time ever built, same job. I don't know what that means. Well, anyway, my birthday is March 6th, and I was born in 1958. So I was born 30 years after he was putting on the second edition upstairs, and it took me 30 years to get here. So that's my treasure. So my husband says, this was really meant to be your house. I like to tell you about this piece of marble. This was in the house. It was actually out on the porch. It was on top of a rickety old coffee table base. I don't even remember now at this point what it was. And the house was like such a wreck in here because, you know, we had to totally gut the upstairs. So it was just a disaster area. So what we ended up doing, so nothing would happen to this, I set up my furniture. When we moved over, I had a nice set of the pretty white wood furniture. We set it up across the street, and we put this on top of a coffee table base. So it served as a coffee table for probably the first 2 years. And then I was working at a furniture store. I was a store planner there for a couple years and a buyer. And we sold a lot of these stumps. And I always, whenever I did a project, you know, or somebody's house or in the store, I always had to use this and turn it into a table. I always like put a piece of marble on it or a piece of glass. But I love the lines. To me, it's very sinuous, and I love how that looks. That bare wood like that. I think it's just so beautiful. And I love the organic. I love to mix organic into anything I do, and I love the warm feel of the woods. And this basket, this was a find from Habitat. I think I paid $19 for it at Habitat. I loved it because of the chrome. It was just like, it was out just sitting there, and it was just calling me because I had the chrome and the natural, which is my thing, and a little bit of leather on there too. So I just love that. And then the vase, I found this vase. I think this was a Home Goods find, which I love because it's wood, and I love how it works so pretty with the color of this wood, the tones that are in that. And the flowers were from my little friend that lives next door, Caroline. She did the flowers for me, and I just love the Queen Anne's lace and the mums. It's just so beautiful and just open and airy, and I think it just came out really, really pretty. And then you'll probably notice I have a lot of photographs. To me, photographs are my art. I love black and white photographs. And it's all my family, you know, they're all my children and my grandchildren. And I struggle, you know, with which ones to keep and which ones to hang up. But what I've started to do here, this is my kind of my holding zone, I call it, because I determined to sketch them all And over the years I will. So what I do is I hang them here and then eventually plan to sketch them, and then they'll be sketches instead of photos. I really hate like a studio photo. I don't like that. I like candid shots. I like to catch them with their personalities, you know, as who they are. I love this rattan peacock chair. My husband got me this for Christmas last year. It was a find at Habitat for Humanity. I think it was a little too much money for Habitat for Humanity, but I loved it. And this spot was calling for it. It had to go here. And then I just put a little Mongolian sheepskin here, which I love. I grew up, we're Norwegian, and we always had skins everywhere growing up. So it's just, I have to have my skins here and there. But I just love this, and I think I love how it sits here so well. It's just like it's perfect. Let's go take a look at the living room now. Welcome to the living room. It's not that big of a room. It's a little on the small side. And like I said, I have a big family. My family are big people. And we had put our original furniture that we had from our other house in here. And the one Christmas, I looked at them all smushed on that sofa. And I have photos of that. But they're all like smushed on that sofa. And I said to my husband, I'm like, you know, we're going to have to really do something serious in here because we need to be able to have more seating in here. And so we ended up building this sofa. And this was my foray into furniture design, which I'm going to leave that there and leave furniture design to the designers. I worked at a furniture store. Like I said, I was a store planner, and Lee Industries has a sectional that I just loved, but that just wasn't working for us. We really couldn't swing it at the time. And so what I did is I started copying the sofa, and I copied the cushions. Like I got the exact seat cushion and the back cushion. This is their Cloud 9 seat, and I think that's the plush back. So it's the same as the sectional. And then my husband built this base. The base was actually the door that was in the hallway. He cut it apart and then built this base. But, and then we just had a flat top on it. But over time, it wasn't real comfortable. And my husband would say his derriere was hurting when he would sit there. So we had two different upholsterers play around with it a little bit, trying to get it to the place where it was comfortable. And finally, the last guy we had, he came and he built this platform. He padded it. And the thing was getting the tilt. That's the thing about furniture design. And a lot of people they'll build banquettes all the time, or they do a built-in sofa, but it's not comfortable. Like, I want everything in my house to be comfortable. I am all about comfort. And that, to sit flat is not comfy. So doing it this way, where everything's kind of tilted back a little bit, gives you that comfort, like you're sitting on I mean, it's not the same as a sectional, but it works really well, and it's comfortable now. And the other good thing about it, when I take these cushions off, it's actually like a twin bed here. And if you're smaller, I can fit two people here. So it gives us a little extra. And then I love the fabric is washed Belgian linen, so I can take it off and wash it. And it's a pale gray, but it's really mellowed over the last couple years, which I really love, because I always did, like I said earlier, white slip covers, but I wanted to do the gray. I wanted a little bit of a color, and I wasn't sure. Like I kept saying, oh, I'm just going to slip cover it white, but I really love it now because it's really mellowing and fading out, and I hope that it'll continue to do that, and I just really like it. And it's strong and it holds up. You know, when I have family here, I don't have to worry about anything because I can just take it off and wash it. The other thing, what happened here with the rug, this rug really began to set the tone for this whole room. I mean, this room's gone through a couple different gyrations of color and different things. I had it all kind of white and navy for a while. But this rug, in 1993, we were in Mississippi for about 9 years, and I was an interior designer. And I used to travel a lot, and the distances with my clients was, 85 miles, 90 miles one way. So it was a haul for me to go anywhere. So what I started doing, I got a big Suburban, and I would load up my Suburban with all my accessories, and I found this gentleman in Greenwood, Mississippi from Ashley's Rug World, if you're still, I think he's still in business. And we worked out a deal where he would load me up with Oriental rugs, and I would keep them in the truck. So when I would go out to a job, I could just go out to my truck and get a rug. So anyway, this one, I loved this one, and I bought this and kept it for myself. It was this dark, kind of like a, it wasn't pink and it wasn't red. It was this really pretty, like rosy red color or pinkish red, and but it just didn't suit me anymore. And so for the last 10 years, really, it's been in a bag in storage, and we hadn't been using it. So one day I said, I found this guy in New York, and what they do is it's a process called antiquing. And so he came and he took a look at it. And I said, well, what do you think could happen to it? And he said, well, the process, what it does, it strips away the color, but you're not guaranteed of what color it's going to come up. But he's done it enough, he kind of understands what could happen. So he's looking at it, and he said, I think it's going to come up kind of cream and gray, maybe brown. I said, that's perfect. And at that point, I didn't really care, because I would just like be out the money, that it cost me to have it redone. And I thought, well, if I don't like it, I'll just sell it. And so he took it, and it was quite a process. What they do first is they shave the pile on the rug, and when they do that, it intensifies the pattern. So what if that pattern had seemed a little muted before? As you can see, like the blacks and all these different parts here, they weren't that noticeable before, and that was actually like there was like a navy blue, those colors. So when they shave it, that pattern just really rises to the surface, and you can really see it. Then it begins to go through all these different chemicals, and it's a little scary because it's older, and you don't know if it's going to make it, and you're not guaranteed. So anyway, took quite a few months. I get it back. I fell in love with it, and I love it. I mean, what happens with these things? I mean, you can see here, there's like some white thread here. But when these rugs are made, they are, maybe that yarn came from a different village. Like the colors are never going to be exactly the same. And sometimes in these rugs, you'll see big swaths of areas where like you can see here almost, if you can get that. See how this is gray, and that, because then that would have been yarn that was used from another village. So you're never, when they dye everything, it's different, but then you just never know what it's going to come up because of the different yarns that are used. And the interesting fact is that was my family's business. My grandmother was in the Oriental rug business, and that was her father's business. They were Armenian, and they sold Oriental rugs. So that's where I grew up, in an Oriental rug store as a child. That's where we spent our summers. She was in Ocean City on the boardwalk, and we spent our summers, sleeping behind the Oriental rugs they were up on big easels, and we would sleep and take naps back behind them in the store. But back to the rug, I mean, I love how the rug came out, and I feel like it set the whole tone really for the whole house. And then I feel now like we've been here 9 years, the house has started to settle into itself, and she's taken on a look that really suits her. And it's nice to let the house do that. And I think like the house is just kind of doing that herself, really. I mean, I kind of took a step back from it. And as I did that, the design starts to evolve, and I'm really pleased with how it came out now. And I'd had this coffee table before I did the rug, which has that kind of amber brown. So when the rug came in, I was like, oh, I love it with the coffee table now. And then these two pieces, this is, I got this at an estate sale. I think I paid like $20 for it. I found this piece. I think it's the same artist. It looks exactly the same. Because it almost looks like torn paper, which I know it's not. But but I think it is the same artist, and I love how that worked together. But I have a funny story about the turtle, why I had to get this turtle. When we first moved here, my daughter bought us this great big float, like a 5-person float. So we had it down in the river, and one day I was out there and I'm floating around and I was like, oh, this thing is really dirty, I need to get off and clean it. So I pulled in and I started cleaning it off. Well, I hear this voice say to me, you better get back on the float in case there's a turtle. And I thought, turtle, I'm out of here. So I paddled in, got off it, I came up. And that night, my husband and I are sitting across there, and we see something big moving very slowly out there in the mud. It was dead low tide, and this big thing's moving. Well, it was a giant snapper that had big, it looked like horns on its back and up on top of its head. I was like, oh, that's the end of that, because I was swimming down there, I was trying to do some laps back and forth, so my swimming days were over. So when I was at the estate sale and I saw the turtle, I'm like, oh, I got to get the turtle. But I love him, though, because I love a little bit of crystal, too, or a little bit of glass, and I love that mixed with the organic elements and the linen. But it's like you need a little bit of shine mixed in with all those, with the matte-ness, let's say, of organic elements. I think you need a little bit of shine to give it a little bit of life. And then this, of course, is a stressless chair. My husband calls it the sleepy chair because anybody that sits there is going to fall asleep right away. But that's from Eclectic, and I just love that. And if you got little aches and pains or bad back, that's the chair. You got to have that chair. It's fabulous. I love the white leather and the little bit of chrome, or not chrome, but the stainless steel, and then the light wood, I think, just brings it all together in here. Well, let me tell you my story about this house, because there's a lot of history here with this house. I first encountered this house in 1986, when, after dropping my son off next door to visit his little friend, Frankie, that was his kindergarten buddy, and they were friends for many years, and he would come back and forth, and we would come back and forth through here a lot. And then fast forward a lifetime later, I married my husband in 1993, and we had moved to Mississippi, and then we moved back here. And then in 2007, we actually bought a house right around the corner from here. I was going through a really difficult time in my life, and really shouldn't have been house hunting or getting involved in any kind of house hunting situation. But anyway, the market was really high, and we had a house over in Ventnor near the beach, and it was our opportunity to sell. So we sold our house in Ventnor, and it was very hard to find a house. Couldn't find anything. It was just like now. The market was crazy, and there was a housing shortage. So we knew we wanted to be over here in this neighborhood. Nothing to do with this house, but we wanted to be in this neighborhood. So there was one house for sale here. That was it. And it was a 1990s contemporary, not to my liking at all. And my husband liked it. He liked it a lot because we were coming from a 2-story row in Ventnor, which we had rehabbed. And there wasn't a lot of storage, or he didn't have a garage, or much like that. So anyway, he was happy. He had a 2-car garage, had a basement, and 2 attics. That was a man's dream over there. So he was happy. We bought it, and we rehabbed it. But the thing was, I never felt at home there. And looking back now, to me, a home has to have soul. If a home doesn't have soul, it can be beautiful, or it can be perfect. It doesn't matter, like how perfect the design is, or the view, or whatever. If the house has no soul, to me anyway, it's just flat. There's just, I have to have a connection, and I had no connection to that house. It was beautiful. It came out beautiful. Everybody loved it, but I was never, I never felt connected there. And, it was literally, we could walk from that house to here. And we would come past here all the time, and we always admired it. It sat empty, I think 20 years probably. I don't think anybody had really been here. There was an elderly couple that owned it, and they had a handicapped child, and they'd come down once in a while and cut the grass, and that was about it. And so it always looked abandoned, you know, tall grass blowing in the breeze, and it was just, it looked forlorn. And at that point in my life, I was so forlorn. I felt as forlorn as this house looked, you know, and we kind of, I think that's how we connected, because I was so sad. And I had come to the place in my life, I was like, you know, this sadness is just going to be with me for the rest of my life. I had a broken heart, and there was nothing ever going to make it better. So, you know, I was just doing my best going through life. But then in 2013, something started to change within me. I started waking with this anticipation and this excitement. I didn't know why. And I started feeling the need to clean out and get rid of things. I would call my daughter or my daughter-in-law. I'd say, I got this, you want it, come and get it now. Or I'd call my daughter's friends, you want this, come and get it now. And I was just like getting rid of things, packing things up, cleaning out. And I never knew why. And I started hearing just in case. And I would hear just in case. Every time I would tackle a project, I would hear just in case. And I would say, well, just in case of what? I didn't know. I had no idea. I had no idea what was coming. I mean, we had remodeled that house. It was beautiful. We had no intentions of moving or selling. That was not on our radar at all. And then in 2014, I started feeling the need to come by here. And I would say to myself, just in case. And I was like, just in case of what? I have no idea. So my grandchildren went to school right around the corner from here, and I would pick them up each day from school, and I would take the long way home, because I could have been to my house in a minute if I went that way, but I'd pick them up and I'd say, look, we're going to take the long way home. And I said, I just need to swing by the little house for a minute. And they hated it. And they'd say, Mimi, why do you want to go past that house? Why do you like it so much? It's a dump. And I said, I don't know. I said, just in case. And they would say, of course, just in case of what? And I'd say, I don't know. I just am doing it just in case. So I was doing that. Now that's all 2014. I mean, it started out, I would go every couple months. And then it was every month. Then it was every week. Then it was every day I was coming by here. So this one particular day in late April, I'm coming down the road. I said, look, I got to swing by it real fast. Of course, you know, they were balking in the back seat. And I see something different on the landscape coming down the road. I see a white thing. And I said, what is that? And my grandkids said, well, it looks like a sign. So I pull up, jump out. I grabbed the thing, I grabbed it out of the ground, and it was a for sale sign. Well, I was having a fit. So I took the sign and I shoved it down in the hedge like that so that nobody could see it. It was well hidden. I jumped back in the car. I get on the phone, I call my realtor. I'm like, Karen, I said, this house just came up for sale. I'm trying not to be so enthusiastic. And so she goes, all right, well, let me look it up. And she tells me the price. Well, I almost passed out. I was like, get me in there tonight. And then she says, whoa, wait a minute. She said, let me look at it. She goes, the whole upstairs is a gut. I said, I don't care. I said, just get me in there. So that night, we come and we look at it. It was my husband and I and my grandchildren, because I was babysitting my grandchildren, and the realtor. And then my brother, Robert, and his wife came along. And so we all come in, and, you know, they were all like, you're nuts. Because the house was just a time capsule, you know, it was sealed up. And my realtor looks at me and she goes, Solveig, she said, why would you want this? You have a beautiful home around the corner. Why would you want this? And I said, I'm home. I am home. And to back up for a minute, when we arrived here that night, we're driving down the driveway. We could barely get through. It was so overgrown. And we're squeezing. We had the old pickup, and we're like squeezing back here. Well, my husband hadn't even put the car in park, and I'm out. I'm jumping out. And the minute my feet hit the ground, I felt something come up my feet and just come up through my body. And for a moment, I'm screaming silently to myself, I am home. I am home. For the first time in my life, I've lived all over. I've had beautiful homes. I've had nothing. And I was home because there was this connection here that I never had. And I realized I had been searching for that all my life, searching for home. And the thing is the soul. There's a connection. There's just, I don't know what it is, but this is the one thing I've learned. There's something to be said about delayed gratification. It took me 30 years to get here. And I never asked. I never, I'm a praying woman. But I never asked for this house. When we started this whole process, I didn't even think it was possible. I mean, honestly, I thought it was mission impossible. I had ran home and I prayed. And what I prayed was I prayed for God's will only, His will, not mine, because I knew I could get in and I could really mess things up. And I knew that a lot of things would have to line up to actually make this come together that were completely out of my realm of abilities, let's say. And but there's something about God giving us the desires of our heart. And I never prayed for this house. I never asked for this house. I saw this house and it captured my heart. And it captured my heart through such a difficult, the sadness that I felt. And this house seemed to be so sad because when I look at it, I knew what it could become. And through that, it gave me hope that I could become again. I could become myself again. And through this, like all that we went through, not that any of it was easy. I'm not saying that, it was a journey. But through it, I have found myself again. And God has blessed me so much. And that amazing view out there is my strength. And, whenever I feel those dark days come, I can walk out there and I can look at God's amazing masterpiece. And it just speaks to me and I'm strengthened. And I have joy again, that I thought joy was gone. And I have found it again. And it's rooted, and can you say, can a house heal me? I don't know, but between God and this house, I can tell you, I can laugh again. Something I never thought I could do. Well, come on, let's go look at the rest of the house. Well, welcome to my dining room. Again, the rooms are small. But I don't mind it, honestly. I really don't. I don't mind that they're closed off. But another thing that I love about this room is this window, which we have no idea why there's a window here. But we think that originally this was the kitchen because there was a chimney here. Once we took it all apart, there was a chimney here. But it still doesn't explain why there was a window here. And the prior owners had a china cabinet and it was shoved in there. So you didn't even know, when you walked in this way, you didn't know there was a window here. But when you went in the living room, what it looked like was a built-in bookcase. They had shelves in there. It was so bizarre. But so we, got rid of that china cabinet right away. And I love this because it's nice if you're, if you're in there watching TV, and I live in the kitchen. So if I have the TV on and you want to watch TV in here, it gets a little noisy. So my husband closes this to close me off sometimes. But anyway, this room has been through a few gyrations. I knew I wanted a banquette. The first time I saw this room, I'm like, how it was originally, there was one single window right here, just a long window, but it was so dark in here. It was just like a cave. So as soon as I saw this room, I'm like, oh, I need 2 windows and I need a banquette. Had to be a banquette. So I found this banquette at it's a restaurant supply place that they used to have in Mays Landing. There was a warehouse. And I don't know, I think I paid $100 for each section. I think it was black and red, probably came out of some old Italian restaurant. And I had my upholsterer recover this in a, it's not, I don't think it's umbrella. It's a high performance fabric, which is great because, with grandkids and great-grandkids. You never know what's going to happen. And then I just put a vinyl on the seats, which is, it's very close to that knitting needles, that Sherwin-Williams knitting needles colors. It's just a real soft gray. And the vinyl is great. I can just clean it off. And I have my little sheepskins, which always have to have my sheepskins. Now, this is my plate wall, which has gone through a couple gyrations because, like I said earlier, I had blue and white. And when I first started this, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do here. And I found these on eBay, of course, from England. They're a British stoneware. So I ordered these, and then that's just like a pottery barn. I found both of them on eBay, and I got them. I'm like, I like them, but I wasn't crazy over them. So we were rooting around in an antique store one day, and I came across these two, and they're Limoges. Well, I fell in love with these because they reminded me of the river with the browns and the fish, and it just reminded me. I said, that's perfect. That's what I want to go with. This one is funny, though, because this is when you shop late at night. This is not a good thing to do. So I found this is a Limoges piece, and I ordered it. You know, I clicked buy, you know, before I really thought about it. So then I woke up the next morning. I said to my husband, I said, I ordered this plate, but I think it's a dead fish, because I got thinking about it. There's flowers and there's grass. I'm like, well, there wouldn't be flowers and grass under the water. And he's like laying there. So then the plate came a couple days later. I'm like, yeah, that's a dead fish laying there. So that's my dead fish plate. But I love how it looks, and I love the movement of it. Because, you know, where the house is old, and it needs that little bit of modern edge to it, I think, to make it come alive. I didn't want to just do it all traditional, and I have to have that little bit of, I don't know, that it's an edge, I guess, to it. And I love the movement of it. And then this lamp was my husband's mother. She collected Duran ware. So this is a Duran lamp, but it never really had a home. So it finally works really well with the plates, and I just love how that came out. So we'll move on into the kitchen. Well, welcome to my kitchen. This is where I'm at all the time, especially on Sundays. I can be in here pretty much all day. I always say I get stuck in here, but I love being in here because I love to cook, and I really enjoy being in here. When we purchased this house, though, the kitchen was actually, the sink was here, and then this was cabinets. The stove was over there. So it's gone through quite a few different transitions. But I have a funny story about the night we came here to look at this house. We came, like I said, the realtor, I had my 2 grandchildren, my brother, and my sister-in-law. And originally there was a door here. So you'd come into the vestibule, and then you had to open this door to get in here. And when we came to the door, I wanted to put the key in. I didn't want the realtor. I wanted to do that. So she let me do that. And then when I opened the door, I stepped in, and all I hear is crunch, crunch, crunch. Well, I didn't dare look down because I just wanted to get the key in out of the door and get in the house. And so I couldn't get the door open. It was jammed, and I couldn't get it open. So my husband comes in and he says, I'll do it. So in turning to go out, I looked down. Well, there's hundreds of dead bumblebees. It was just all dead, like carpenter bees, all over there. But I was okay. I didn't let that, that wasn't going to bother me. And so anyway, he had to end up putting the shoulder to it to get it to open. So we got in, and, you know, everybody's talking and talking. So, but then all of a sudden, it's all quiet in here, and nobody's saying a word. And everybody's turning and looking at me. I'm like, uh-oh. And it was so hot in here, you couldn't breathe. I mean, there was not a pinch of air. And I said, oh, we need to get air in here stat. So I ran over to a window. I was trying to change the temperature of the room because I could feel my husband's blood pressure starting to go up. And so I went over to the dining room to try to open the window. Well, of course, they're all painted shut. I couldn't get it open. So then he goes over to try to open the window, and I hear him go, "Arr!" single pane windows. And I was like, oh no, this is over before it even started, because he hates single pane windows. And I knew that. But anyway, he gets the window open, and we're all just like standing in his kitchen, and it had an old enamel top table. And my sister-in-law leans in, she goes, I want that table. And and it was awful. Like, there's dead bumblebees and spider webs. It was just frozen in time. Nothing had been touched. And I said, why don't we just keep moving? And then we went on through the house. But when we started working in here, they had linoleum tile was, I wouldn't even say glued down, because they used to use almost like a tar back in the day when that went down. And my husband, I'll say that was one of the horrible projects, because he was down there with I don't know, it's like an electric chisel, I can't think what you call it, but trying to get those tiles up. And then once you get the tiles up, then you got to get all that black gunk up. So there was no salvaging this floor. We were hoping, we'll get down to the bare wood, because the rest of the floors were all wood, and we thought, well, we'll be able to salvage it, but we couldn't. And so we went through quite a few different situations of what to do here. And the house is really old, and the floors are really uneven. And I did want ceramic tile, but I was afraid of the weight, and because I knew I wanted stone countertops, so I had to kind of compromise for the weight load factor for the room. So we ended up going with this. We put down a glue down vinyl, which worked out fine, because this house has been steady construction. I can mop this thing with hot water. I don't have to worry about it, because I like to wash with nice hot water. I wash it and we're good. Everything is fine. And through all the construction, it's been great. So I've really enjoyed that. When we were working on the kitchen, this piece, I love this piece, because I had a fine linen store for 10 years, and this was one of the props from my store. It was actually a little china cabinet, and it was sort of like an aqua color, and it was trimmed with gold. And I had given it to my daughter, and my daughter Stella always says she calls herself Stella Store, because I give her things, and then if I want it back or she doesn't want it, so it's always back and forth between the two of us. So anyway, I said, well, I'll take the top of it if you want to keep the bottom. So she said, yeah, because she said, I can use the bottom like a bookcase. I said, well, that's fine, and then I'll take the top. So I took it over to the guy that does my stripping, and he did a little test on it. He said, I think it might be walnut. So he stripped it, and he was as excited about it as I was, because he said it's solid walnut. I love the shape of it with that little bonnet top up there, and how pretty the wood came out, just that soft wood. And then I just put that, it's a clear matte finish from, I think it's Lennar. But it's not so shiny, but it's still, because I cook, I'm always cooking in here and splashing things, and I don't have to worry about it, anything happening to it. But I keep all my dishes. I've pared down everything. I keep everything that I use. I use everything that's in my kitchen. There's not just stuff here. I use everything, and I cook in here. But we put in we have the quartzite countertops, because I do a lot of baking, and I love to, and my thing is I make a lot of biscuits, and so it's nice to roll biscuits out on this cold. It always stays cold. And my husband says, but in the wintertime, it's really cold. But in the summer, you enjoy it, because it cools off the kitchen a little bit. And then we use the butcher block for the rest of the kitchen. And then this is our little coffee area, and then this is my baking area. So I have I know I have 2 KitchenAids. Doesn't everybody have 2 KitchenAids? Actually, I had 3, but the third one is blue, so I don't want the blue in here, but I have to have the 2, because I use them for different things. But it works. It works really well. I mean, it's small, but it's very functional, and it works for us. We sit here, and watch. My husband likes to sit here and watch TV, he reads his Bible here. He likes sitting here, and it works really well for us. And if I have a get together, we just take the bar stools out, and it's fine. But so it's worked out quite well for us. And then over here is my I do a lot of canning and dehydrating things from my garden. in the summer. So this evolved. This wasn't like this. We actually had like a little a bench there, a little place for him to sit and take his shoes off when he'd come home from work. But we ended up taking that out, and I said, I need more in this kitchen, and I needed a place to put the dehydrator. So that worked out really well. So it gave us more storage. Of course, he lost his little place to sit, but I gave him a bench outside now, so he has a place to sit outside, take his boots off, so he's happy. Well, let's go on up and I'll show you the rest of the house. We'll look at the upstairs. Well, let me show you our little bathroom, which is right over here. This bathroom was actually the hallway when you came upstairs, so we had to make a bathroom. So it's long and narrow, but it's the only bathroom that's upstairs. And the mural on the back wall was a result from COVID. I had time on my hands, so I painted that. And funny story is my husband came home and he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, why does it have to be a flower? He said, the bathroom's supposed to be gender neutral. He said, why couldn't you paint a deer with some pine trees back there instead of a flower? I said, well, I love flowers. I always paint flowers. So it was just funny. And then here, this is our little storage for my linens, and we bumped back in under the eaves of the roof, and this created a nice little storage area. This painting, this is another one from William Mackenzie. And after he passed, I was over at my friend's house, Joanne's, and she said, you know, why don't you take a painting? I went into his studio, and there's just hundreds of paintings. So I went through all these paintings, and I found this one, and I said, you know what, I really like that one. I'd like to have that. So she said, yeah, you take it. So anyway, I had it hanging in my office, and it hung in my office for probably 2 years. And then a couple months back, I decided, you know, I sort of want to take that upstairs. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to put it. So I had set it down here in the hallway. And one night I get up to come to the bathroom, and I see something glowing. And I said, what in the world is that? I thought it was a reflection from a light, because there was nothing here. And I'm like, what in the world is that? Well, I go over to touch it, and it's the painting. What was glowing was a cross. Apparently, he painted a cross underneath the painting in glow-in-the-dark paint. And so it glows at night. And I never knew that. All that time, it was down in my office, and I never saw it. So it's just a wonderful reminder of God's love for us. And I see it every night I get up, and I come through, and I see that cross glowing, and it's all good. This is our little guest room, really, for the kids. I mean, when we were looking at this house, even though it was in the state that it was, my grandkids went crazy over this room. They just loved it because it was tiny. And we decided to do a built-in bed, and my husband took the, we found some old doors down in the basement, and he took the old doors and cut them and made the base of it. And then I have storage underneath for all my old linens. And like I said, I owned a linen store, so I have a lot of things that I had to keep. So they're all neatly stored underneath there. But it just makes like a great little room. And this is all my grandchildren's art. In my other house, I had a full art studio downstairs. So whenever I had my grandchildren, they always all paint it. So this is their art from when they were little. They're all grown now, so, but my granddaughters, when they come, they sleep here. You know, you can still fit one in here, but, and then we'll go on into the master bedroom. So this is our master bedroom, and we did quite a bit of renovation up here. It was in deplorable shape, and it was actually segregated into about 3 rooms here. And so we decided to turn it into a master bedroom, but the plan was originally when we came here, I wanted to just do this as a big open room. I was going to put a couple beds in here, make this like an art studio, and make our office up here. But once we got, you know, ripping and tearing up here, and my husband saw the view, and he said, oh no, he said, if you're going to make me live here, I want our bedroom up here. So what happened is like my budget for the kitchen went up here to do this, because we had to do some structural work for the ceiling. And what I did is when I was drawing this up, I did these walls here. I wanted this kind of closed off here, not closed off, but I wanted it divided a little bit. And we had a framer come, and he's like, why do you want to do all that? That's so much extra work. But then once he got studying it, he said and I didn't know this, I mean, I just drew it up, but he said, by doing it this way, we saved ourselves thousands of dollars that we would have had to spend to do some more support upstairs. But by putting in these walls here and here, we then supported the roof in the way that it needed to be. So it worked out, it gave me the room that I wanted. Because I mean, the room's little, but I wanted to have the bed so it's kind of in a little alcove. And then I did these little, had these little built-in nightstands made. I found this guy on Etsy, actually, that made these. And I love these because I couldn't put nightstands here. I kept buying nightstands, and I'd bring them in, and the floors are so wonky that they looked ridiculous. And I couldn't have that. I have to have that level plane for my nightstands. So this was the answer. So they're mounted here, and they're mounted here. So they have good support, and they give us one drawer, and then I have storage for our throw pillows and our throws underneath. So that it works well. And then the bed is all storage underneath, so that works really well. And a funny story for this room, if you've seen the stairwell, there's no way to get furniture up that stairwell, let alone a mattress. So that was a problem. So when we got the windows, what I bought was, these are actually what they call drywall windows, where they're able to come out. So we can take these windows out. And to get our mattress in here, it had to be craned in. And luckily, I come from a rigging family, so I have a crane at my access. Or I don't know what we would have done, because there's no getting a mattress up here. And my brother came over with the crane. And of course, on the day he comes with the crane, the wind picked up, and here's our mattress, like, whew. I mean, they're so good with the crane. Like they have everything under control. And my husband took the window out. So my husband's standing out here on the roof. I was having a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna fall off, and here's this big mattress coming at him. But we managed to get it in and get settled. And then the other issue was the painting, which is up here. All through the move, I wasn't focusing on that painting. It was hanging in my living room, and I honestly didn't give it any thought until we were really like getting to the end of the move. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Because there's no way it's coming up here. It's not going to come up the steps. So what I ended up doing was taking it off I took the canvas off the frame. And we just mounted it to the wall. Then my husband built the trim around the edge of it. And actually, I love it like that. And it worked out. It worked out really well. Another flower that he can't stand, but that's what I do. I can't help it. And so he's fine with it. But we had to a couple years ago. We had to replace our mattress. So I had to call up my brother. Of course, he came, and we had to take the window out again, and we switched the mattress. But at least we have that, so we do have access. And everything else I make sure it's small enough. I don't like a lot of furniture. Like I don't like bedroom sets and dressers. I mean, I have 2 dressers over there, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with that kind of furniture. And we were able to get them up without a problem. But move over here, I want to show you. This is like my little dressing area. I have my dressing table. And then my husband built this great little nook over here. Which works out when the kids were a little bit smaller, I could always squeeze they're all getting too big now. They're all men and women now, but somebody could sleep here. And makes just a great little place, because in the winter, the porch gets too cold and you really can't sit out there. And I like to sit and read. So this is my winter spot. I have the porch in the summer and the spring, and then this is where I come in the winter time. But it's beautiful because the view out to the river is amazing, and then you can see the garden, and it's just a beautiful place. And then the floors, we kept the original floors up here, and The funny thing, you know, with the floors, like I love the floors downstairs, and I painted these again, that knitting needles from Sherwin-Williams. But my husband hated the floors. He hated it downstairs. I loved it. I had the gray floors all throughout downstairs, but he hated it. He said it reminded him of his aunt's shack when he was growing up, and he said, I can't live with that. So, but he let me leave it up here, and I love them. You know, I like I said earlier, you know, I love this house, warts and all. I don't care. Every little chip, it just kind of tells a story. And it has soul, and it just speaks to me, and it just makes me happy. It's not perfect. I mean, there's nothing perfect in this house, which I'm not perfect. You know, I love good design. Don't get me wrong. Well, I love good design, but the imperfections is what gives it that soul and just makes it warm and comforting, and you feel like you can sit anywhere, you can touch anything. You know, nothing is really off limits, I should say. And but I really love it, and it's worked out just fine for us. So we'll go on downstairs and I'll show you the back patio. Before we head out to the patio, I got to tell you a funny story about these steps. The day we were here looking at it, you know, we get upstairs and they had beds everywhere in this house, twin size beds, which you could get the twin up and down, no problem. It was almost like a dormitory, it felt like, because I think they were trying to rent it out to people, like to come for a vacation house, because there was brochures and things, I don't know. But my brother said, oh, well, he said, you ought to take one of those mattresses and attach it to that wall down there, so when you fall down the steps, at least you're going to fall into something soft. But we've been good. We've gotten used to them. When I first used to come up the steps, I was so short of breath I couldn't take it, because they're really steep and they're high and they're short. So it takes some getting used to it, but I love them. I mean, they're all uneven and they're worn. You can actually see the wear marks from the feet, you know, from people coming up and down the steps. I mean, the house is over 100 years old, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I said, warts and all. I love her like she is. So come on, we'll go down and look at the back porch. Well, welcome to our new porch. It's been a labor of love, but we're almost finished. It's not quite finished yet. It's my husband. He's already out here enjoying the porch, enjoying the breeze, and we get these beautiful breezes coming off the river. It's just amazing. We love it out here. It's just a beautiful place to sit and relax. I want to tell you a minute about this chaise lounge. My parents gave me this for one of my birthdays a couple years ago. This is actually an old piece of theirs, and they had it refurbished and powder coated and put the blue and white stripes on it and surprised me with it. But I grew up with that. They used to be, I think they were yellow and white way back in the day, but I just love it. It's so comfortable, and I just think it's so pretty. And then the coffee table was theirs too. And my dad was tired of it, so I said, well, I'll take that. And I have a newfound love. It's called powder coating, because I used to spray paint everything for years, till I got to the point I said, my lungs have to be 75% spray paint. So I found this company, they do powder coat, because every year I was spraying that white. And so they powder coat it, and then you're not painting it again. So, and the same with the chairs. The chairs were, I forget where I got them, but I paid $5 a piece for those chairs. And then we had them powder coated, and then we had to restrap the bottom. When they powder coated, the guys cut the straps off, and it was so complicated to put the straps back on. So I had to take it, I forget what it was like 2 hours from here up north to find a place that would restrap them, but they restrapped them for us. I found the cushions actually on Amazon, but they've worked out. They made a nice little seating area back here. And then the table, this is actually my father. My father's a wood hoarder, let's say. And this was part of his collection. And years ago, I don't know, I was kind of going through this time where I like to he gave me a grinder, and I would sit and just grind on the wood, like grind that finish. I probably should have never used a grinder on it, but that's what he showed me to do. And I took the grinder to it, and I love how it came up. But, and we had it in the house for years. We had it in our other house. But when we came over here, we had put it out in our greenhouse for a little while. I didn't really have a spot for it anymore. And it started to fade this gray, and I love it. So when we were working on the porch, I always knew in my heart that's where this was going to settle, and I just love it. And then the branches are curly willow out of my curly willow tree, which I have a little story about that, because during the process of getting this house, it took us many, many months, over 4 months to get this house. It was, I don't know why it took so long, but that's what happened. I said, this house is a study in delayed gratification. And during that time, my husband used to walk down here, and he'd walk around the property and he'd pray. And so one day he comes back and he says, you know, I think that's really going to be our house, because he said, right off of the porch is a curly willow tree, which is my favorite. I always wanted a curly willow tree because I like to do things with flowers, and I always like curly willow. And he said, there's irises everywhere. And he said, the irises are, you know, that the irises are his mother's favorite. So he said, I really think this is going to be our house. And it was two things I hadn't seen. You know, I hadn't really studied the outside. I was just, I mean, I hadn't studied the yard. I was just studying the house in my mind, but not the yard. So the curly willow tree worked out beautiful in there. And I just love the lines of a curly willow branch. I think they're so pretty. So, and then we laid out down to our garden. This is our vegetable garden, which has evolved over the years. It keeps kind of growing. I do a lot of canning and dehydrating. And we grow a lot of different varieties of tomatoes. I try to grow things that I can't get at the grocery store, and my herbs, and it's just grown and evolved over the years. And the view is beautiful, and the breeze, and it's a beautiful place to be, and I feel so blessed to be able to call this place home. Home is just, it's where there's comfort, there's peace, and like I said earlier, there's soul. And there's a connection. You know, it's not found in just a beautiful house. That's not the goal. You know, I've been an interior designer. I've been in this business for many, many years. You know, and I've seen many a beautiful house, but not every house is a home. And how soul is created, it's through how you live your life in that house. What are you doing to contribute? Not just making it beautiful. It goes way beyond beauty and decorating and perfecting the design of your home. It's how do you live in your home? It's how we live. Like, how is our life? What do we do? And it's the beauty of how we live our lives. And to me, home is just, it's everything. Like when I go somewhere and I come down that road and I see my little house, it's a sanctuary where I'm completely at peace. And I feel so much joy, and it's just a wonderful place to be. And home is everything to me. And I don't care anything in the world. I'm happy to just come back here, and I'm happy to be here, and I love it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.